on Bhagavad Gita, and what were few things discussed, we had discussed, is that Bhagavad Gita is also called as Gita Upanishad because it is like in the it's also said to be song of the Lord, like because this is the there are so many Vedic scriptures and all, but Bhagavad Gita specifically is spoken by the Lord Himself. And in the beginning, when Prabhupada gave this Bhagavad Gita was published, Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, I mean, it was published in ISKCON. The question was raised that why another Bhagavad Gita, because there were already so many versions of Bhagavad Gita. So what did Prabhupada say? Because none of them had presented that knowledge, transcendental knowledge, as it is, and that is why. And the proof of it, that now somebody may say, okay, he was he was telling about his own ISKCON and all. So the proof was that no one had become devotees. In a lecture also, Prabhupada was mentioning, I was hearing a few days back, that when Prabhupada went, before that, many years before that, like some 100 years or something like that, yogis and some saintly personalities were coming to the West, but none of them were able to make a single devotee. Why? Because they were not actually presenting the Bhagavad Gita as it is. And then we saw a little about how a medicine is taken as per the instructions of as per the label or as per the instructions of the doctor or prescription of the doctor. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita has to be accepted following in the footsteps of Arjuna. How he accepted it, we should accept it in that way. Not that I challenge, oh, what is this, Krishna said like this or something like that. No, not challenging mood, but one has to accept in a humble mood, following in the footsteps of Arjuna. And then we saw a few topics that were that are discussed, covered in the Bhagavad Gita about what is this Bhagavad Gita, first of all. So this is like what do you say, manual for human beings, because animals, trees, they cannot read or study or discuss, but it's actually a manual for um, human beings specifically. Now you get a machine, you get a manual for it. So now we have got this human body which is like a machine. So how do we use it? How do we live our life? So that we can understand from Bhagavad Gita. And many other things were also covered. I'm just touching a few points. And why Arjuna was chosen to be the one, why Krishna gave this knowledge to Arjuna only, not anyone else at that point of time, because he is his devotee and is his dear friend. Similarly, we have to become a devotee of the Lord to actually understand the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. And there are 5 topics which are covered in the Bhagavad Gita are the Supreme Lord, the Ishvara, the Jivatma, the living entities. Then third is karma, what do you say? Material nature, Prakriti. And then fourth is time, or what do you say, Kala, time factor. Fifth is karma, or our activities, different activities. And practically, if we see, first 4 are all eternal. Now, material nature, it's temporary, but it's eternal, still existing. Karma is something which can be changed. So that is not like eternal, like so. Okay, then we had covered yeah, so we are supposed to start from here. What is material nature? Okay, you can hear me. Okay, thank you, Mataji, for letting me know. Okay, is anyone available to read these 2 paragraphs which is being displayed on the screen? Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I read?
Yes, Mataji, please.
What is material nature? It is also explained in the Gita as inferior pra- prakriti, inferior nature. The living entity is explained as the superior prakriti. Prakriti is always under control, whether inferior or superior. Prakriti is female and she is controlled by the Lord, just as the activities of a wife are controlled by the husband. Prakriti is always subordinate, predominated by the Lord, who is predominator. The living entities and material nature are both predominated, controlled by the Supreme Lord. According to the Gita, the living entities, although parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, are to be considered Prakriti. This is clearly mentioned in the seventh chapter of Bhagavad Gita. What is this? Apariam, ithas, TV. Anyas prakritim vidhi, me pranam, jeev, bhutam. This material nature is my inferior prakriti, but beyond this is another prakriti, jiva bhutam, the living entities. Material nature itself is constituted by three qualities: the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, the mode of ignorance. Above these modes, there is internal time, and by a combination of these modes of nature under the control and purview of internal time, there are activities which are called karma. These activities are being carried out from time immemorial, and we are suffering or enjoying the fruits of our activities. For instance, suppose I am a businessman and have worked very hard with intelligence and have amassed a great bank balance, then I am an enjoyer. But then say, I have lost all my money in business, then I am a sufferer. Similarly, in every field of life, we enjoy the results of our work or we suffer the results. This is called karma. Hare Krishna,
Hare,
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Nice to hear you here. Thank you so much, Mataji, for your
Welcome,
association.
welcome Mataji.
Okay, so what is Prabhupada is mentioning, giving a glimpse about material nature. When we go ahead in the chapters, then we will see in detail. Krishna explains, Krishna says. Here, Prabhupada is just giving a glimpse. What is material nature? This is also explained in the Gita as inferior prakriti. We will come across uh, this inferior, superior, or the we'll come across at many places in Prabhupada's books in Ishopanishad and many places that the energy of the Lord is categorized into three. It can be categorized into three sections. One is superior nature or the superior energy or the what do you say internal energy of the Lord, that is the spiritual energy. The other is the inferior nature or the material energy, um, um, which is the superior one is called the spiritual energy, that is called the um, um, I mean the spiritual realm, and the material world, this is the inferior nature. And another one is the marginal energy, which is what do you say, antaranga shakti, bahiranga shakti, and tathastha shakti. So we are living entities are marginal energy, we are tathastha shakti. So the living entity uh, is explained as the superior prakriti. Now what does it mean? Actually we are all spiritual beings. So, in one sense, we are considered under the spiritual energy, but we have a tendency to either remain in the spiritual under the spiritual energy or choose to come under spiritual, I mean under material nature. So that is why there is a different section given, name given, that is the marginal energy. But actually, if you see, we are all spiritual, like we say, no, spirit souls. So we are spiritual beings. That is why we are also considered under the superior energy. But again, there is a categorization of marginal energy. So Prakriti is under control, always under control, whether inferior or superior. Prakriti is female, so it's like a feminine. Actually, if we see in the whole of existence, there's only one Purusha, or the controller, or the enjoyer, and that is the Supreme Lord, Krishna. Everything else is his energy. So, which is because the um, everything belongs to him, is coming from him, so it's his energy, so everything else is being controlled. That is why it is considered as feminine nature. So Prakriti is always subordinate, predominated by the Lord, who is the predominator. Okay, another thing, as it is mentioned, like activities of the wife is controlled by the husband. So it is in a proper sense. Sometimes it creates a confusion. It is not being dominant or something as we see in the material world or something like that. No, but in Vedic culture, because as we saw, energetic and energy. So energy is under the control of the energetic. Similarly, the Supreme Lord controls everything else. Material nature, living entity, spiritual world, material, everything is under his control. So the living entities and material nature are both predominated, controlled by the Supreme Lord. According to the Gita, the living entities, all the parts and parcels. So we are all parts and parcels of the Lord. We are all um, just like we have our body, we have our hands, legs, eyes, ears. These are all parts of the body. So we are the hands are not independent of the body. Similarly, we are all belonging to the Lord. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita also claims that Aham Bija Pradapita, I am the seed giving father of all the living entities. So he claims that everybody is my child. So parts and parcels are to be considered Prakriti. This is clearly mentioned in 7th chapter. When we'll go there, we'll see. And this is the shloka from that 7th chapter. One of the verses, aparyam itastva anyam prakritim vidhime param jiva bhutam. What does it mean? This material nature is my inferior prakriti, but beyond this is another prakriti, jiva bhutam, the living entities. Just like rocks, stable, air, water, all these are what? These are all has to be operated by someone. Now, if there is a fan, it will not run on its own. Some you have to go and switch on the fan, then only it will run. So the material things, they they are like dead matter. For example, something, a living entity has to go and operate it or use it, then only it has value. So that living entity is what, like the jivatma or jiva bhutam, as it is mentioned, that is living entities. We are the living entities. All living, like humans, animals, plants, worms, germs, they are all living entities. Material nature itself is constituted by three qualities. About these three qualities we'll read in detail in Bhagavad Gita. Towards the end of the Bhagavad Gita, there's a chapter. So Sattva gun, which is the mode of goodness, Rajagun, mode of passion, Tamogun, mode of ignorance. Above these, there is eternal time, and by combination of these modes of nature and under the control and purview of eternal time, there are activities which is called karma. So, being under the control of these different modes, three modes, and different other factors like kala or the time factor, and so on, we come under the cycle of this karma chakra, or what we say, under influence of these modes and all, we do some activities. Accordingly, we get a reaction to it, good or bad. These activities are being carried out from time immemorial, and we are suffering or enjoying the fruits of our activities. For example, sometimes a child is born and the child immediately may leave the body, may die, or a child is born dead. So people in general may question, oh, what is this? How could the Lord be so cruel and all? What did this innocent child do? But no, actually, every living entity comes, with their own set of karmas and their reactions and whatever. So, in the previous other lifetimes, whatever activities the particular soul has performed, accordingly, one will get the results for that. So, as per the one's previous karma, the child may be born dead or something like that. Similarly, we may be suffering. Everybody may have some, maybe enjoying in some way. Somebody became a topper because somebody has read very nicely, utilized all time in studies and all properly. So somebody became topper. Now somebody did not pass the exam. That means what? Someone may be just roaming around with friends and moving movies and all these things, giving no time to study. So as per their activities, they get the result. Okay, they did not pass the exam. So as per our activities, one gets the result, and this has been continuing from time immemorial. From the time we are in the material world, these things are continuing with us. For instance, suppose I'm a business. So Prabhupada gives a nice example. If somebody is a businessman and one has worked very hard and got, has a good bank balance. Now suddenly something happens and uh, there's a story also in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I was just seeing a drama in relation in regarding this, that in Uddhava Gita, when Krishna was about to wrap up his pastimes in the material world, that time he when Uddhav came to him, he narrated this, which is mentioned in the 11th canto, if I'm not wrong. Yes. So there was a Avanti Brahmana. There was a place Avanti, I think, something like that. And there was a Brahmana. He had good wealth and everything. He was very much attached to his wealth and not very kind of used to live as if kind of, what do you say in Hindi, kanjus kind of. But he had good wealth and all. But suddenly, what happened? One day, all the go down and all. He was something like farmer or something like that, merchant. So all the go down and everything caught fire. So he was immediately, everything was vanquished. Whatever his wealth and all, that was also stolen by the thieves and everything. So immediately he was like on the road. So when he had wealth, he was in one sense enjoying the the result of some pious activities. And when everything was gone, he lost everything, which means that he was suffering the result of his previous sinful activities. Similarly, in every field of life, we enjoy the results of work or suffer the results. So, this is karma. So, Prabhupada has, very briefly given a little glimpse of material nature, and karma, little bit here. So, in detail, we'll see in the Bhagavad Gita, of course. So, with this, I'll stop here. It's 5:30 already. So, I would request everyone to please share. Either if you have questions, then you are free to ask, or else you can please share at least one point from what we discussed today, or something which you got to know, uh, for the first time. Okay, it's like this or something like that. Either you can unmute yourself and speak, or you can write it in the chat box, whatever is convenient. Disha Mataji, do you have anything to say, like something like, what you got to know, or some point you want to share in today's discussion?
Um, Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam. I just want to ask one question. As we have read now that Prakriti is wife and Krishna is like a husband. So whenever Prakriti punish us, like earthquakes and these natural calamities come, so does this is done by punished? This is as a punishment to us by Krishna or what?
Okay, thank you so much, Mataji, for your question. Actually, if we see that without the Lord's sanction, nothing can happen. Just like without the sanction of the principal, a law or a new law cannot be passed in the college. So, in similar way, yes, in one sense it is sanctioned, but again we will see in the Bhagavad Gita in detail there are five factors for any activity. So, after other factors are considered, then comes the sanction from the Supreme Lord. But why these? So, what you mentioned about natural disturbances and all calamities, it comes under Adi Davi. There are three types of miseries. Miseries caused by our own body and mind. Another caused by other living entities, and the other is the natural calamities. So it comes under that category. So now, when the sinful activities of the living entities become so heavy, then the material nature, that reaction comes in the form of natural calamities. So nothing is by chance or something. If the sinful activities, in China, a long back there was it in China or somewhere? I don't know, do not remember.
Just now in Turkey, there is a very huge earthquake has occurred just now.
Yeah, it was there. But previously, also there was an earthquake somewhere, and even from the scientific point of view, they gave um, something in relation to pain theory or something like that. The point was, that time it was, what I had heard from even the modern scientific point of view, there was a lot of slaughters, specifically cow slaughter and all. So those reactions, it became so heavy, the sinful activities became so heavy that that reaction came in the form of a very disastrous, earthquake. So, uh,
Actually, this was happened in Nepal.
Yes, Nepal. Yes, Nepal, right. So, yeah, natural calamities, that also comes as per the reaction when it becomes heavy. Then, even in Bhagavatam, this is there, no? When Krishna was about to, when Krishna's advent, like when he was about to come to the material, I mean, come in as the son of Mother Devaki and Vasudev. So what happened before that is the royal order, the kings and all, they were so much, I mean, demoniac. They became so much demonic that, like Kamsa and all. So it was very painful for Mother Earth, and she went to Brahmaji to seek, help to free her from this, painful this one or this heavy thing of sinful activities and all on Mother Earth. So then Brahmaji, along with the demigods and Mother Earth, everybody, they went to Shagar, where Lord Vishnu, uh, he is there. Then um, it was intimidated to Brahmaji by the Lord that he is very soon going to advent as, as come in his original form as Lord Krishna. So there also, that is mentioned. So basically, when the sinful activities becomes very heavy, then all the natural calamities happen. Okay, I see something from Pramila Mataji in this relation also. Even in ISKCON Puri Bhagavatam, I heard when animals are slaughtered, they curse and groaning of animals in pain, the earth is shaken, earthquake. Yeah, that is there because it's very painful. It's very painful. I mean, it's practically murder. So, different kind of sinful activities. So that's why all these calamities happen. Did that help you, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for your very nice question. Okay, Pramila Mataji, do you have anything to add or anything else? You can type it in the chat box. I know you are in office work. Okay, so yeah, we are almost done also. It's 5:40. So we'll close for now. And thank you so much, Matajis, for joining, for your association. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,